Hello, esteemed gentlemen. Some people scare the world without lifting a finger, but the real threat is the one who doesn't even know he's doing it. There's something quietly unsettling about Sigma males, and it's not the Hollywood-type danger or the cliché lone wolf fantasy people expect. It's the unintentional horror they trigger just by being themselves. Psychologists say humans fear what they can't predict, and the Sigma male is practically built like a glitch in the human behavior algorithm. No patterns, no social scripts, no obvious motives. And that's where the suspense truly begins. Because while everyone else is trying to be loud enough, flashy enough, or dramatic enough to be noticed, the Sigma male is out here terrifying people simply by existing, without even trying. He's not breaking rules. He just quietly refuses to participate in them. He's not intimidating people. He just makes them question why they feel intimidated. And he's definitely not doing anything wrong, unless minding your own business has suddenly become a crime. You'll notice it quickly. The unsettling pause when he looks at someone for half a second too long. The confusion when he walks away from drama mid-sentence. Or that tiny panic surge people feel when he doesn't laugh at a joke everyone else found hilarious. Suddenly, ordinary people start performing mental gymnastics, wondering if they should be impressed, worried, or asking him to blink twice if he's okay. So buckle up. This isn't about the stereotypical mysterious guy. This is about the quietly disruptive things Sigma males do without even realizing they're sending chills down spines. Let's dive into the 12 things Sigma males unknowingly do that instill total, silent horror in people, and maybe laugh a little at how unintentionally terrifying someone can be. Number 1, they analyze people instead of interacting with them. Sigma males have this almost unnatural way of observing people that goes far beyond casual attention. While most people are busy talking, reacting, and performing their social roles, the Sigma is quietly taking notes, connecting patterns, and filing away behavior like a human database. Every gesture, every hesitation, every subtle shift in tone is logged, categorized, and understood on a level most people never even notice exists. Conversations with them feel normal at first, but there's an undercurrent of awareness that makes others uneasy. It's not that they are hostile, it's that they see through the layers everyone works so hard to hide behind. They don't just hear words, they detect the intentions behind them. They don't just see actions, they register micro-expressions, timing, and inconsistencies. The Sigma male doesn't need to interrogate or corner anyone. He already knows what they're about before the conversation even reaches its halfway point. This makes people feel strangely exposed, as if their inner workings have been scanned and stored without consent. The unnerving part is that he doesn't react outwardly most of the time. There's no smirk, no condescending remark, no judgmental eye roll. He remains calm, collected, and almost invisible, which amplifies the horror of being dissected under his quiet observation. People instinctively try to cover their tracks, overcompensate, or modify their behavior, but the Sigma is rarely fooled. They notice every little adjustment, every tiny effort to manipulate perception, and understand it instantly. It's like standing in a hall of mirrors and realizing someone else can see through every reflection. Conversations, interactions, even casual encounters become an uncomfortable dance where the other person doesn't fully realize they're being read. This analytical nature isn't malicious. It's a byproduct of their independence and deep intellect, but it leaves a psychological imprint on anyone who crosses their path. People leave interactions with Sigma males feeling exposed, evaluated, and slightly off balance, as though they've revealed more of themselves than they ever intended. That silent, unnerving awareness is a power most others don't possess, and a source of quiet horror for those who unknowingly step into their orbit. Number 2, they walk away from authority without drama. Sigma males have an uncanny way of ignoring authority that unnerves people more than any outright rebellion ever could. They don't argue, they don't protest, they don't even make a scene. They simply disengage. While most people feel compelled to fight or comply, the Sigma male acts as if hierarchical structures barely exist in his world. This creates an unsettling tension for anyone who relies on authority as a measure of control or power. The mere act of silently stepping away communicates a subtle, almost invisible challenge. He doesn't need permission, approval, or validation. It's not defiance for the sake of defiance. It's indifference, and that indifference is far more frightening because it's untraceable. People around him start questioning themselves. Why doesn't he care? What does he know that we don't? How can someone simply disengage from the rules everyone else obeys without consequence? The Sigma doesn't hand out answers, and that lack of reaction amplifies the fear. Authority loses its weight around him, not because he's aggressive, but because he refuses to participate in the system that gives it power. This behavior extends beyond bosses or leaders. Social expectations, peer pressure, traditions, Sigma males treat them the same way. They move through environments without being tethered to norms, and it makes people nervous because it exposes the fragility of the structures everyone else relies on. When someone refuses to play by invisible rules, the illusion of control crumbles, and people feel suddenly vulnerable. There's a quiet horror in watching someone operate outside the influence of authority, without consequence. The Sigma's calm, collected demeanor while doing this only deepens the effect. He doesn't need to prove a point or win respect. His very existence challenges the social order. Observers feel an inexplicable unease because they are confronted with a person who cannot be fully measured, predicted, or controlled. That unpredictability, combined with absolute indifference to the structures others live by, leaves a lasting impression, one that people carry long after he's gone. The Sigma male walking away from authority is not chaos, it's a mirror, showing how unnecessary and fragile the rules really are, and that realization terrifies everyone else. Number 3, they keep their personal life so private. It seems like a void. Sigma males have a way of guarding their personal lives that feels almost unnatural to others. They don't overshare, they don't post every detail online, and they don't feel compelled to explain themselves. To most people, it looks like there's nothing there, like a void waiting to be filled. The unsettling part is that this privacy isn't defensive or secretive in a paranoid sense. It's effortless, instinctive, and total. People around them can't map their life, can't predict their next move, and can't figure out what motivates them. That lack of access creates a quiet tension because human brains are wired to understand, categorize, and control. When faced with someone who refuses to reveal their inner workings, it produces a subtle, persistent fear. Interactions with Sigma males often leave people feeling like they've met a puzzle with missing pieces, pieces that might never exist or might be intentionally hidden. Every story they tell, every opinion they share, is carefully measured, and yet it never feels rehearsed. This makes people overanalyze, question themselves, and sometimes invent narratives about the Sigma's life that are far more extreme than reality. The void of knowledge becomes terrifying because people assume emptiness equals darkness, and the mind starts filling in gaps with worst-case scenarios. Their personal boundaries extend beyond curiosity. It's a statement of autonomy. They operate on a level where their experiences, relationships, and thoughts are theirs alone, untouched by judgment or expectation. That independence creates a gravitational pull of fascination mixed with discomfort. People want access, but there is none. There's no dramatic reveal, no manipulation, just an unwavering commitment to self-possession. This unintentional intimidation leaves a mark. People leave interactions with Sigma males feeling like they've seen only the surface of a life far deeper and more complex than they can comprehend. That private world, closed off yet intensely real, is unnerving because it reminds everyone else of how much of themselves they expose daily. A Sigma male doesn't make people feel included in his life. They feel like intruders in a space they are not meant to enter. And that quiet exclusion is more terrifying than confrontation, louder than aggression, and far more haunting than mystery. Number 4, they have moments of extreme intensity that appear out of nowhere. Sigma males have an unpredictable rhythm to their energy that unnerves people in ways few understand. Most of the time, they appear calm, collected, and almost impervious to stress. Their pace is deliberate, measured, and quiet, lulling everyone around them into a false sense of predictability. And then it happens. Suddenly, without warning, they enter a state of extreme focus or intensity that feels almost unnatural. It might be a sudden burst of productivity, an unwavering fixation on a problem, or a moment where they act with a precision and decisiveness that seems impossible under normal circumstances. People around them often freeze, not knowing whether to be impressed, intimidated, or scared. The unsettling part isn't just the intensity itself, it's how disconnected it feels from the context. There's no warning, no build-up, no performance. 1 minute they are quietly observing, the next they are moving with unstoppable energy, cutting through obstacles like nothing exists in their path. To observers, it feels like a sudden surge of force from someone who normally appears restrained, creating a jarring contrast that is hard to process. This unpredictability makes others question the Sigma's true capabilities, wondering how someone who seems so ordinary can suddenly become so extraordinary. This extreme intensity also carries an undercurrent of psychological power. People around a Sigma male sense that they are witnessing an unfiltered version of his abilities, unshackled by social conventions or expectations. That raw, uncontained energy has a way of highlighting everyone else's limitations, exposing hesitation, doubt, and incompetence in contrast to the Sigma's clarity. It's not a performance designed to dominate, it simply exists, and others feel the impact whether he intends it or not. The combination of calm detachment and sudden, piercing intensity is both fascinating and horrifying. People leave these encounters rattled because they have glimpsed a level of focus, decisiveness, and independence that seems almost inhuman. Sigma males don't just surprise, they unsettle, reminding everyone around them that a mind operating entirely on its own terms can move at a speed and with a power that no one else can predict or contain. Number 5, they leave people feeling evaluated, not accepted. Sigma males have a way of interacting that leaves a subtle but unforgettable mark on everyone they meet. Even in moments that seem casual or friendly, there's an undercurrent of scrutiny that most people can't quite put their finger on. It's not judgment in the harsh sense, and it's not meant to be cruel, but it feels as if every word, every gesture, every choice is being mentally measured against some internal standard they never reveal. People leave encounters with them feeling as though they've been analyzed under a microscope, and that sense of exposure can be deeply unsettling. Unlike individuals who overtly criticize or compete, Sigma males operate silently. They don't comment on your decisions, correct your mistakes, or even offer guidance unless asked, but the impression of being assessed lingers. This creates a psychological tension where people start second-guessing themselves, wondering if they measure up, if they are performing adequately, or if they are missing some unspoken cue that the Sigma has already noticed. It's a quiet form of pressure that doesn't demand attention, but commands it anyway. There's also an element of honesty that amplifies the effect. Sigma males rarely sugarcoat reality or offer reassurance to make others feel comfortable. Their presence is a reminder that the world doesn't revolve around approval or validation. People who crave acknowledgement or affirmation leave interactions with them feeling exposed and slightly off balance. This is not a personal attack. It's simply the impact of someone whose standards are internal, invisible, and unattached to social norms. The haunting part is that no one ever knows exactly what the Sigma male thinks. You might feel evaluated, but the parameters of that evaluation remain entirely hidden. This combination of clarity and opacity is what makes them so unnerving. People instinctively try to reconcile what they know with what they perceive, often creating stories in their own minds that exaggerate the Sigma's insight. The result is an emotional and psychological impression that lingers far longer than any words or actions, leaving others fascinated, intimidated, and quietly horrified by someone who doesn't judge in the traditional sense, but evaluates with precision nonetheless. Number 6. They refuse emotional reassurance. Sigma males have a way of interacting with emotions that makes most people uneasy without even trying. While society trains people to offer comfort, validation, or reassurance, the Sigma operates outside that framework entirely. When someone seeks sympathy, approval, or a comforting word, he doesn't automatically provide it. It's not that he lacks empathy, he simply doesn't feel obligated to soothe anyone's insecurities. This refusal, subtle as it may be, creates a strange kind of tension. People are used to being held emotionally, guided or reassured, and when that doesn't happen, it produces discomfort, confusion, and sometimes even panic. The Sigma doesn't reject people personally. He maintains emotional independence. He doesn't offer empty platitudes to make others feel better, and he doesn't perform empathy as a social duty. To most, this can feel cold, almost cruel, because it forces them to confront their own feelings and insecurities without a safety net. When people interact with him, they realize quickly that their emotional crutches, compliments, validation, shared grievances, don't hold weight here. This experience is simultaneously humbling and terrifying. What makes it truly unsettling is that he doesn't need to assert power or control. His calm indifference to emotional expectations quietly shifts the dynamic, placing others in a position of vulnerability. People are left relying on their own internal compass, unable to fall back on external support, and this self-reliance can feel uncomfortable, even horrifying, to those who are used to emotional guidance. The absence of reassurance also magnifies the Sigma's presence. Because he doesn't meet emotional needs on demand, people become hyper-aware of him, analyzing every gesture, word, and expression for hidden meaning. This silent evaluation creates a psychological tension that is hard to shake. In essence, his emotional independence acts like a mirror, reflecting the weaknesses, dependencies, and fears of everyone around him. And that reflection, unfiltered and unsoftened, is more intimidating than aggression, louder than anger, and far more unsettling than any attempt at manipulation. Sigma males don't hand out comfort. They hold a standard of emotional self-sufficiency, and encountering it leaves people quietly horrified, realizing they may not measure up to it. Number 7. They keep a psychological exit door open in every relationship. Sigma males carry a mindset that makes them almost impossible to pin down. In every relationship, whether it's romantic, professional, or even casual, they maintain a subtle, almost invisible distance. It's not coldness, and it's not avoidance. It's a conscious or instinctive preservation of freedom. They never fully close themselves off, never commit in ways that tie them completely to one narrative or expectation. To the people around them, this creates a strange tension, a persistent feeling that no matter how close they think they are, the Sigma is always partially untouchable, always slightly out of reach. This psychological exit door isn't a threat, and it's not manipulation. It's an internal rule of existence. They protect their autonomy above all else. But the effect it has on others is profound. People instinctively sense that this person can leave at any moment, whether emotionally, physically, or socially. That knowledge creates unease because humans naturally crave predictability and security in relationships. When someone refuses to offer that, even subtly, it feels destabilizing. You may feel valued, appreciated, and engaged, but there's an invisible line you can never cross, a boundary you can't pierce, and that boundary is the Sigma's freedom. This characteristic also amplifies the aura of mystery around them. Even when they are loyal, affectionate, or deeply engaged, the faint sense of detachment remains. People leave encounters with Sigma males with a lingering awareness. They've connected, but only on the terms the Sigma allows. That awareness can be disorienting and even frightening because it forces others to confront the reality that no amount of effort, charm, or compliance can fully bind this person. The psychological exit door is a reflection of the Sigma's independence and refusal to be owned or defined by anyone else. It's both fascinating and terrifying because it demonstrates a level of self-possession few have ever encountered. People are drawn to them, yet subtly repelled, constantly aware that intimacy is never guaranteed and that autonomy will always come first. That quiet, unshakable independence is both the Sigma's power and the source of the silent horror they instill in everyone who crosses their path. Number 8. They listen with a stillness that feels predatory. Sigma males have a way of listening that unnerves people on a deep, almost instinctual level. It's not the casual attention most give during conversations, where nods, smiles, and small responses pepper the dialogue. Instead, a Sigma male listens with an intense, unwavering stillness, a presence that feels almost predatory without any aggression. People immediately sense that he isn't just hearing words. He's absorbing everything, weighing every syllable, tone, and hesitation. This kind of listening doesn't just catch information. It reads intentions, uncovers hidden emotions, and notices the things people try hardest to conceal. The unsettling part is that there's no outward reaction. He doesn't frown, scoff, or even blink noticeably when something catches his attention. He remains composed, almost unnervingly calm, and that silence forces people to fill the space with their own insecurities. Every pause becomes amplified, every word feels exposed, and people start wondering if they've said too much or revealed something they shouldn't have. The stillness itself acts as a magnifying glass on their behavior, making minor gestures and slips feel monumental. This intense listening also creates a psychological pressure that is hard to escape. In most conversations, there's a natural rhythm of give and take, of masking and adjusting. But with a Sigma male, the rhythm is broken. He absorbs without giving away his own thoughts, leaving others to grapple with their own words and actions in real time. That makes people feel scrutinized, judged, and strangely vulnerable, even when the Sigma has no intention of passing judgment. Over time, this ability to listen with silent intensity becomes almost a form of dominance. People start to self-censor, overthink, and second-guess themselves simply to navigate the presence of someone who observes so completely without interference. It's an unspoken power, a quiet form of psychological command, and it's terrifying because it operates beneath the surface of any obvious social display. The Sigma male's listening isn't about malice or manipulation. It's about complete awareness, and the fact that it's effortless only heightens the quiet horror it instills in those who encounter it. Number 9. They respond after delays that make people question themselves. Sigma males have a unique rhythm to communication that unsettles almost everyone they interact with. They don't feel compelled to reply immediately, and when they do respond, It's often after a pause that seems longer than necessary. At first, people interpret this as disinterest, confusion, or even rudeness, but the truth is far more unsettling. The delay isn't about ignoring anyone, it's about calculation, observation, and an internal pace that doesn't bend to social expectation. That silence forces people into an uncomfortable state where they start replaying their own words, analyzing every detail, and questioning whether they said the right thing or revealed too much. The effect is subtle but powerful. Conversations with a Sigma male aren't a back-and-forth performance. They're more like walking through a space where every word is registered, measured, and held against an invisible standard. People feel their statements floating in the quiet, waiting for approval, judgment, or correction, and the weight itself creates tension. That gap between speech and response becomes a psychological lever, forcing others to confront their own thoughts, motives, and insecurities. The longer the pause, the more unnerved they become. This behavior isn't manipulative in a calculated sense, it's instinctive. Sigma males operate on their own internal clock, one that doesn't bend to the pace of others. They respond only when they're ready, and that readiness comes from complete mental clarity. The unpredictability of the timing makes people uncomfortable because it breaks the natural flow they rely on in social interactions. It's not about ignoring people, it's about being fully present on their own terms, and that presence has a weight that others can feel. Over time, this delayed response pattern cultivates a silent kind of authority. People become cautious, self-aware, and even anxious in his presence, trying to anticipate reactions that may never come in a predictable way. That subtle psychological pressure, created purely by waiting, reading, and responding only when necessary, is unnerving. It's not aggressive, loud, or visible, but it leaves a lasting impression. The Sigma male doesn't just speak. He makes people feel the impact of their own words before he ever adds his own. Number 10. Their mood doesn't sync with social atmospheres. Sigma males have a way of moving through spaces and conversations that feels fundamentally detached from the emotional rhythm around them. When a group is laughing, celebrating, or even panicking, the Sigma remains in a different mental space altogether. Their expressions, tone, and energy rarely align with what everyone else is doing, and that mismatch creates a subtle unease that people can't easily shake. It's not disinterest or arrogance, it's a quiet detachment that signals they exist according to their own internal rules, not the collective mood of the room. This difference is unsettling because humans are hardwired to mirror and sync with social environments. Smiles, laughter, and even collective worry are ways people feel safe, connected, and in control. When someone refuses to participate in this synchrony, it disrupts the implicit social contract. People start to notice the contrast. While everyone else is swept up in the group's energy, the Sigma remains calm, measured, and almost unreadable. That calm doesn't feel comforting. It feels alien. It's a subtle reminder that their presence is operating outside of the predictable social fabric. This detachment amplifies the Sigma's effect without him even trying. It forces people to question their own emotions, their influence over him, and even the validity of the collective mood itself. If he doesn't react to fear, excitement, or joy the way others expect, it exposes the artificiality of group dynamics, and suddenly the atmosphere feels fragile. People become hyper-aware, trying to read cues or provoke a reaction, only to find that he is unaffected by their efforts. Over time, this misalignment builds a quiet psychological power. People are simultaneously drawn to and unsettled by him. They notice, consciously or unconsciously, that his stability and independence are not performance. They are simply the natural state of someone who does not rely on others for validation or energy. That eerie equilibrium, untouched by the emotional tides around him, leaves a lingering impression. The Sigma male doesn't just stand apart, he highlights the dependence, insecurity, and emotional volatility of everyone else, and that realization, quietly and relentlessly, is profoundly unsettling. Number 11. They void rooms without leaving them. Sigma males have a presence that doesn't announce itself with noise, gestures, or dramatic entrances, yet somehow it reshapes the energy of any space they occupy. People around them often feel a shift, subtle but undeniable, as if the room itself has contracted or grown heavier without explanation. It's not about taking over a space or dominating attention. It's about their natural detachment and the quiet confidence they radiate. That stillness, that unwillingness to conform to the energy around them, makes others hyper-aware of their own actions, movements, and voices, as though the room is now defined by the Sigma's unspoken rules rather than the collective social rhythm. This effect is disarming because it operates without intention. Sigma males don't seek to unsettle, intimidate, or manipulate, yet their very presence causes a sense of unease. Conversations slow down, laughter feels muted, and people suddenly become conscious of how much energy they are expending to maintain normalcy. The room doesn't feel empty in the literal sense, but emotionally, socially, and psychologically it does. People instinctively adjust to accommodate a presence that doesn't demand attention, but somehow commands it through absence, through the subtle void they create without moving or acting in conventional ways. The psychological impact is profound. Humans are wired to respond to energy, to fill voids, to interact and assert themselves in a shared environment. A Sigma male subverts all of that by existing in a state of minimalism, calm, silent, and self-contained. His lack of participation in the expected energy flow forces others to confront their own insecurities, social dependencies, and need for validation. The room, once bustling with social cues and interactions, feels hollow in comparison to the quiet presence that cannot be influenced, read, or anticipated. Over time, people begin to sense that a Sigma male doesn't just occupy space, he transforms it. He can enter a crowded room and leave it subtly altered, an invisible footprint of observation and quiet authority. That void, created without effort or intent, leaves a lingering impression of power and unease. People leave feeling drained, measured, and unnervingly aware that someone among them exists entirely outside the ordinary social gravity they depend on. Number 12. They drop truth bombs with zero emotional insurance. Sigma males have a way of speaking that catches people off guard because they don't cushion the truth or soften the impact for comfort's sake. They deliver reality with precision, clarity, and an almost surgical detachment, and it's this unapologetic honesty that terrifies those around them. While most people instinctively protect feelings, sugarcoat observations, or provide reassurance, Sigma males don't. They speak what they see and understand, no matter how uncomfortable, and they don't offer consolation, excuses, or soft landings for the people absorbing it. That raw delivery makes people feel exposed, vulnerable, and even frightened, because they realize there is no safety net in his communication. What makes it even more unsettling is that this behavior isn't calculated to intimidate. It's simply the way they process and interact with the world. They perceive patterns, inconsistencies, or hidden truths that most others overlook, and they point them out naturally, often in passing, without ceremony. The result is the sudden realization that a Sigma male sees more than anyone else does, and he articulates it without apology. That moment of clarity can feel like a spotlight on personal flaws, lies, or blind spots, and it leaves people reeling because there's no emotional buffer to soften the blow. This approach also forces others to confront reality in ways they rarely expect. People often rely on the illusions of social niceties, half-truths, and selective perceptions to maintain comfort. The Sigma male dismantles that framework effortlessly by stating truths as he sees them, leaving no room for denial or rationalization. It's not cruelty, it's precision, and the psychological weight of encountering someone who operates without filters is deeply disorienting. Over time, interactions with a Sigma male create a lasting impression of both respect and fear. People recognize his clarity, but they also recognize that it comes without compromise. His honesty doesn't bend to protect egos, social expectations, or emotional fragility, and that combination of insight and detachment is profoundly unsettling. Sigma males drop truth bombs not to dominate or shame, but because they operate on a level of unfiltered perception that few can match, and it leaves everyone else quietly horrified by what they suddenly see in themselves. Sigma males are unlike anyone else you'll encounter. Their quiet presence, unpredictable intensity, and unfiltered perception don't just make them different. They unsettle, challenge, and expose the layers of human behavior that most people spend their lives hiding behind. They listen with a predatory stillness, speak truths without apology, and operate on their own internal rules, creating an invisible yet undeniable gravity wherever they go. Interactions with them leave a lingering psychological impact because they refuse to conform, to reassure, or to participate in the social scripts everyone else relies on. People are drawn to them, yet quietly intimidated, fascinated, and often unnerved in equal measure. What makes Sigma males truly extraordinary is that their influence is entirely unintentional. They don't need to manipulate, dominate, or perform to make an impression. Their presence alone reshapes the energy, expectations, and awareness of everyone around them. Every pause, every silent observation, every refusal to follow the crowd becomes a mirror that reflects human insecurities, dependencies, and vulnerabilities. Their freedom, independence, and unpredictability create a psychological tension that is both magnetic and terrifying. People leave their presence thinking they've seen someone unique, and in many ways they have, because a Sigma male operates on a level few can comprehend or emulate. Understanding Sigma males isn't about fear. It's about recognizing the extraordinary way some individuals navigate the world, with a combination of clarity, detachment, and raw perception that is as fascinating as it is unsettling. They challenge norms without effort, reveal truths without malice, and leave an invisible mark that lingers long after the encounter ends. If this deep dive into the unsettling brilliance of Sigma males intrigued you, make sure to subscribe to the channel for more insights that uncover the hidden layers of human behavior. Don't forget to like this video if it blew your mind, share it with anyone who needs a wake-up call about human dynamics, and drop a comment with your thoughts. Because understanding people like this isn't just fascinating, it's essential.